How is karma created? Karma is created through the sense organs being reacted with the mind. And the way that these sensory experiences come through our awareness is through the ears, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the skin, like the touch. And as these sensory experiences, they come through information and they enter into our mind. You can say this is our mind awareness here. It's an information field up here. And as this information transcends and descends and comes down, it comes to a point where it enters into our awareness. And as it enters into awareness, we begin to recognize it as either a positive or a negative thing. And at that point of touching, where it touches, that is where we react to this, like we put it into these frameworks of like a previous experience of, I remember how that sounded and I really don't like that. So that makes me really annoyed when I hear that again. For instance, a lawn mowing or like I don't know, a helicopter flying over. And the same thing with the positive thing. Or you look really nice today. Or would you like a donut? It's like these things bring a sense of craving or pleasurable experience within the psyche. So this is how karma is created, is that reactive space as the information field transcends into itself and then the mind reacts to it. That touching point between matter of the sensory experience where it's like the outside world comes in through information into the sensory organs and it touches the field of awareness, the mind, and at that point of touching is the point of creating karma. So how do we stop creating karma? By allowing ourselves where that point touches to not react to it. And if we can go one better, if that information field comes into our awareness and it stays in that awareness and we allow ourselves to experience it without having to allow it to touch into the mind and then react to it, that doesn't create any karma. And that is allowing ourselves to be liberated from the moment of being in a place of aversion, of anger, of frustration, or a moment of craving and wanting more of what we don't already have. And this level of awareness, which is always here, which always sits equanimously, it sits beyond the thinking mind. So the thinking mind itself is this thing which is still an organ, and its job is to think. And this is the brain, this is like its function. And it's like saying to the heart to stop beating, to say to the mind to stop thinking. It's always going to happen. But it's training ourselves or recognizing that we aren't the thinking mind. We are the awareness in which can observe the thinking mind and allow ourselves to either react to it by letting that information field come in through the sensory experience and then it touches the matter of this sense of like pleasure or like discomfort. It touches the mind and then we either react to it positively or negatively. Can we allow the mind to stay free and separated from matter by separating matter and mind and allowing ourselves to be in this space of, I guess, a pure observation without letting that information field take hold and drive the way that we operate and allow the mind to drive the way that we move through life. It becomes almost like a trance where I am the thinking mind, I am moving through this, I am observing and reacting and going from A to Z through this way. It's very tiring and super exhausting, and like we've got a whole life like that without even stopping. And like we're all a victim of it, especially me. And just allowing that to kind of drop and separate is a really beautiful thing, because freedom sits inside of that awareness, liberation sits inside of that awareness. Information, positivity, negativity, pleasure, unpleasure, this is always going to be moving and changing, adapting. So why would we want to put our effort and sort of energy towards something that's always changing, that's always going to adapt, that's kind of like tangible, but something which is always there, something which is always constant, this level of awareness of deep peace, which always exists. this place of letting go, of allowing, of acceptance, of anatta, which is the egolessness state, the self beyond the self in that way. And we can really reflect this as our true essence or Buddha nature. And that is just a mirror of reflecting purely what's happening through this information field directly upon us, by seeing it as just information, as just sensory experiences through the organs of the body and the mind phenomena. But ultimately, the awareness which permeates through all of this is our true essence, and that can observe all of this stuff, all of that information and karmic activity as the mirror, where we can look at it in a pure way, where we're not projecting what we would like or what we don't like. It just ultimately holds it up for itself, and we can just be in that mirror space and really have fun with it, enjoy, because it's quite a fun, enjoyable place to just hold up a mirror to life and hold up a mirror to yourself and see that we are just purely going through this reflectivity of inside, outside, outside, inside constantly. But can we remain in this observation of remaining as an awareness? And in that way, we can liberate ourselves out of that point of information of karma coming and touching. So that is how karma is created, by information coming into the mind awareness field and then making contact with our conscious mind. And then the conscious mind, through its memory and through its functionality, is going to react to it in either pleasure or a displeasure. And that is the game. That is the game. And if you would like to exit the game, don't allow that mind to contact with the matter of the sensory experience. And this doesn't mean that we become numb or annihilated to life. In fact, it becomes quite the opposite, because we can choose what to put our energy towards. Instead of dancing and chasing and moving and like running away from things, or like looking towards things, or needing more courses, or wanting more friends, or looking at more likes and this, that, the other. It's like, it's already all here. You're already there. It's just a matter of allowing that to settle. And it's like the dust or the murkiness of the mind. And that's the same analogy. We go back to the mirror. It's like the mirror is a little bit dusty, and we just have this false projection of what we see ourselves or the world as. And it's just a matter of cleaning that mirror, cleaning our awareness to be able to see these information fields and information coming into the sensory experience and touching our point of consciousness. And then we, through that mirror, can see it for what it is and choose, have a choice, and be liberated from that. And ultimately that brings us a sense of being able to really experience the joy and experience the aversion without actually going in and creating more karma. And it's not becoming like we can't experience any more pleasure at all. It's quite the opposite. We can really experience pleasure, and we can go so extreme to the point of yogis and these adepts. They go and they they have sex, and they have these whole pleasurable experiences without happening to ejaculate, without having this like reactivity of wanting more. It's just like, I'm here and I'm experiencing and pleasuring, and I'm having this pleasure come upon me, but I'm not going into it in a way where I'm craving it or wanting more, or letting that attachment and that functionality of that touching point enter. And it's the same thing with aversion, or like an injury, or if you're going in for surgery. Like, there's stories of yogis where they go in for surgery without any anesthetic, because they know how to allow the mind to not make contact with the sensory experience. And they get cut open, they go through the surgery, everything happens, they finish, and it's just like, yeah, this is just the body. The body is ultimately the function of this gross world, this information world that we experience. But beyond that is an awareness which can really last and move through any experience untouched. Have a go. It takes lifetimes, but it can also take a very single moment, and just that, to get it. Namaste. Blessings.